following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
What the heck is that? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sling'n Profit podcast. As always, I am your host, Andrew Daly, aka Sling, joined by my co-host, Mr. Profit, or is that Elmer Fudd tonight? I can't tell the difference. Lot going on in the world. I'm dragging my rear end. I was up until 3:00 last night watching TV, maybe an acceptance speech. I don't know. I'm not, maybe up for work at 5:30 and then worked all day. Profit, are you feeling some kind of the same way? And what's going on with the outfit here?
Man, it's been brutal. I mean, I haven't slept since 6:00 yesterday morning, and right after the show, I got to go and empty dumpsters, and then I got to be in Cherokee by 9:30 tomorrow morning for a $500 poker tournament buy-in. I'm burning the candle at both ends. So
is that a real thing? Are you playing in a poker tournament?
Yeah.
The heck, get into that. Those tournaments are weird sometimes, man.
Yeah, but hey, there's money to be had, so
sure. Anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, I like your trash man get up. I appreciate you guys joining us here at a special 9:00 edition. I know it's late for some people, not for everybody, but handling business. I will be doing my first Division I football game this week. Commentary Friday night.
Buddy.
Friday night, I will be on the radio. I am. Friday night, I'll be on the radio hosting, not hosting, but doing color for Princeton University against Dartmouth. Big Ivy League matchup. Dartmouth coming in at 6-1, Princeton 2-5, I believe. But excited. Historical stadium, close to home, which is nice. It's only about 40 minutes from me, which is good. I'm so excited. Just ready to just was on a Zoom call with my play-by-play guy doing going over some notes and stuff like that. That's why we had to push it for an hour, but appreciate everybody tuning in. I know Larry's always happy when we go to 9:00, so that's good for him. But yeah, so big happenings. I'm excited. Little Friday night college football. Call my first D1 game, so hopefully everything goes well. And
well, now I know Princeton was involved in the first college game ever, but was it at their stadium or was it in Philly?
No, I don't think it was in Philly. It was Princeton versus Rutgers, right?
Was it Rutgers? I wasn't sure whether it was Rutgers or Penn, but
no, it was Princeton Rutgers. 1869, first ever college football game was played between Princeton and Rutgers. Where was it? College Avenue in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So, Yep, 1869. The game was won by Rutgers Queensmen 6-4. Ironically enough, 100 people in attendance, so they say. Anyway,
they had different scoring back in.
Yeah, different. I'm sure the rules have evolved a little bit since then. Unfortunately, haven't gotten the issue fixed with getting my projections up onto the screen. So you're going to have to deal with our ugly faces again this week. I thought it went pretty smooth last week, but, people like to look at us. We're not bad-looking guys. I think I'm a little bit more zoomed in tonight than usual. I don't know what's going on with my camera work there.
You should have told me about it. I mean, I would have powdered my nose or something, My gosh.
You talking about makeup?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just making sure we're on the same page there. But
no,
I do listen. We don't have the PowerPoints to put up, but I did go back and I made some cool little slogans here. So I'm gonna kind of stream what's going on at the bottom here, and for those watching, you can see it on our little ticker. For those listening, you weren't gonna see our screen anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we're gonna dive right into it. We're gonna dive into our What's Happening segment, talking about the biggest stories, or what we think are some of the biggest stories from the week that was in sports. And the first thing we're going to talk about is Saquon Barkley. And Prophet, you asked me if I was able to pull the clip up. And listen, my technology skills the past 2 weeks have not been up to par. I wasn't able to pull the clip up, but I think anybody who's anybody saw that play that Saquon made. He catches a swing pass out the side, makes a juke move, makes a spin move, and then does a backwards leapfrog. And the defender goes right under him, and he picks up a couple more yards after that. I mean, it was an amazing play, probably one of the most athletic plays I've seen in a long time. But let's not just focus on the play, Prophet. I want to talk about for a couple minutes of how good Saquon Barkley has been for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Talk to me about the play. Talk to me about, the Giants have just got to be kicking themselves, huh?
Maybe yes, maybe no. But, I mean, about the play for starters, man, I tell you what, it's probably one of, if not the best plays I've ever seen on a football, athletic plays on a football field. I mean, definitely right up there with the OBJ catch from years ago, who was with the Giants also at that point. But I don't know. Saquon in New Jersey did not, his past couple of years, I mean, he just wasn't doing it. The O-line stunk. He didn't want to be there, I don't think. So, if he was still in New Jersey, he'd probably be, the Giants would probably be getting more of the same. They wouldn't be getting this Saquon. Saquon's rejuvenated. He come to Philly, played at Penn State. He wanted to go home. He went home, and I mean, the guy's having a phenomenal year. He's third in the league in rushing.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to touch on a couple stats. Last year with the Giants, he rushed for 247 times for 962 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah,
so
less 200, less than 4 carry.
Yeah, and so far this year already, he's rushed 157 times for 925 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Almost 6 a carry.
Yeah, he's already matched his total from last year, and we're only going into week 10. So if he can stay healthy, which has always been a thing for him, if he can stay healthy, look, the Eagles, and I don't know if we're talking about them later on, so I'll talk about them a little bit tonight. Eagles are playing rejuvenated football. If he can stay healthy, they got a good shot moving forward here to make a run, and we'll see what kind of run. They still got to catch the Commanders, but they got to. Well, we are going to talk about the Eagles. We have them a little bit later, so we'll talk about that. Moving on to our next topic here, we got the trade deadline has come and gone. Prophet, right? It's gone.
Tuesday.
It was Tuesday, right?
4:00.
I wasn't sure if there was still another day or not. There was some movement. Okay. There wasn't anything that really jumped off the screen at me, personally speaking. I know the Cowboys picked up a wide receiver. Who was it, Mingo or whoever?
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo.
And what they gave up, right, was like something. Who gave up?
Nothing. They got him.
There was somebody who gave up less or more for like a low-level receiver than the Chiefs gave up to get DeAndre Hopkins. I forget who it was, but do you remember what I'm talking about or no?
No, I mean, I'm looking at the list here, and yeah. No.
All right. Well, I read it somewhere. I can't remember who it was. But a couple guys that were on the move. You had Deontay Johnson a couple days ago. Jonathan Mingo going to the Cowboys. Mike Williams. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins got traded. He scored a touchdown this past week, right? If I'm not mistaken. 2 touchdowns this week. Who were some of your winners and losers here at the deadline? And not even necessarily at the deadline, just around the deadline who have made moves.
Yeah, I mean, I only looked at the deadline because we had pretty much talked about the other ones prior shows. But obviously the big winner I think is Detroit. They needed to replace Aiden Hutchinson. Not that they're replacing him, but they're getting a stopgap anyhow. And they picked up Zadarius Smith, and they got a 7th-round pick in 2026, and all they gave up was a 5th and 6th rounder in 2025 and 2026. So they didn't really spend a whole lot for him. And they got a guy that, I think he's got 5.5 sacks already this year. So, Cleveland, I'm surprised they didn't sell more than what they did. But, so Darius Smith is Detroit wants to go to the Super Bowl this year. Zadarius Smith's going to be a big part of that, I think.
No, and we talked about it, a few weeks ago when Hutchinson went down. Is Detroit going to, make any moves to bolster that defensive line? And it looks like they have done that. So,
yeah, and then Pitt picking up Mike Williams. I mean, Russell Wilson had nobody to throw to other than George Pickens. I mean, their receiving core stunk. And not that Mike Williams, is a great receiver, but he's much better than anything they had past Pickens. So that's going to be beneficial to Pittsburgh. And all they gave up was a next year 5th-round pick for him. I mean, here's a guy that can stretch the field as long as he stays healthy. Obviously, he's had injury concerns his whole career. But and then Washington picking up Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, that was a big one too that I didn't mention.
Yeah, I mean that was a big move for the Commanders. I mean they're only giving up like 189 yards a game through the air, which is tops in the league. But they're also they've given up 14 aerial touchdowns, man, which is up near like the upper top of the pack. And Lattimore's going to come in another one. So long as he stays healthy, he's going to be a big acquisition for this team.
Yeah, I was actually at I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of football this week because I was at the Commanders Giants game this week. So I watched that one in person. Close game, closer than I thought, but we left about halfway through the third quarter. We stayed longer than we usually do, but Commanders were up 21-7 at halftime in that one. And I don't know. It's just I do think that Washington's got a nice little team, man. See what kind of damage they can do as they get deeper into the NFC schedule. They obviously got to play the Eagles, and the Giants are what they are. The Cowboys are down, and now they're down and out almost. With the injuries that they're dealing with. So, kind of like last night with the swing states, it could go one way or the other with the Commanders here. They have a path to the division title, but are they going to get there? I guess we'll see as time goes on.
Yeah, time will tell there. And then, as far as I'm concerned, the big loser at the trade deadline was Tampa Bay. And they were the big loser because they did nothing. I mean, they're 4-5. They're still in contention for a wild card. Yes, Evans comes back next week. Not just coming, but the following. But anything, everybody, all the receivers over the last 10 days that were traded would be an upgrade for that team, for what they have right now. And they didn't move on anybody. It's like you got to give Baker somebody to throw to.
Yeah, you do. But, he hasn't had anybody to throw to for the past 2 weeks, and they've played tough. They took we'll talk about it later. They took the Chiefs into overtime this week, and they played tough last week. But you're right. They got nobody right now, and Evans coming back, but he's one man, and it's easy. It's a little bit easier to be able to, double team him or to take him out of the game versus if they had somebody else that they had to deal with.
Right.
What do you got going on here? Eye again?
Yeah. Damn pollen in the air.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got some Smoky Mountain skunk coming in the back door.
I don't know. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next topic here. Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce, the attention seeker. My question is, did you see this video and did you see how it all went down here at Penn State this past weekend with him?
No, I did not. I did not see the one at Penn State.
Okay.
I saw another one.
What, the one where he smashes the kid's phone?
Nah, the one it was on the NFL Network. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so he smashed some kid. Some kid is harassing him, and he calls, he calls his brother, FAGG word, and for Dayton Taylor Swift or whatever, and I guess Kelce grabs the kid's phone and Hulk smashes the cell phone, and he's walking into Beaver Stadium because he's at Penn State tailgating, and he's got a case of beer in his hand, and he smashes this kid's cell phone, and the kid actually pushes him and puts hands on Jason Kelce, which is pretty crazy. And he smashes the kid's cell phone, and Kelce gets in the kid's face and says, who's the F now? Who's the F now? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, dude, this guy is just, I'm getting tired of seeing him. He's everywhere, and he makes himself everywhere, and he wants to be in the center of all of these news stories, and he's on ESPN, and then he goes out and he issues an apology on ESPN. And listen, I don't think he was in the wrong for getting in the kid's face and doing what he did. The kid was in the wrong, but why put yourself in that situation? Like, what business do you have to be at Penn State other than, I think he was on College Game Day doing the Pat McAfee kick for charity or whatever, but like, this guy's everywhere, and he's just creating. I don't know. He just needs to be in the center of attention, and he created some bad press for himself, I guess, this weekend. But
you got any?
I guess that's one word to describe him, as a buffoon. But I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Kelce? And I don't know, man. He just seems like he retired and he doesn't know what to do with himself, but he can't let go of the limelight, is what it seems like to me.
That's exactly it. And guess what? I mean, if you still have that much energy and you're still raring to go, get back on the football field. It's like, I don't really think he needed to retire from a physical standpoint. He was just done with the game. Well, if you're done with the game, then be done with the game. Yeah. Go in, take your wife and, enjoy the rest of your life and your limelight and all. But no, like you said, he has to be the center of attention all the time. I mean, what was it? The Buffalo game last year?
Yeah. He's out like banging his chest and chugging beers.
No shirt on, in the
So
box.
that's the thing too. Like, you're at College Game Day. You're supposed to be, an ESPN analyst now. You're making decent money, I'm sure, doing what you're doing. And you're at College Game Day, and you're walking through the Penn State campus, going to a college football game, drunk as a skunk, carrying a 12-pack of beer, arguing with college kids and slamming college kids' cell phones into the ground. I just dude, enough is enough with this guy.
Right. They need to stop showing all his antics, and then maybe he'll stop doing them.
Yeah. We're halfway through the NFL season here. We're going into week 10, Prophet. Let's talk about, and I know I'm just dropping it on you, and I don't need an in-depth breakdown here, but let's talk about some surprises here.
Really? Do you expect anything less from me?
Yeah, well, I just put it up a couple hours ago, so I didn't expect you to do that, but I told you I wanted to keep it short tonight. Anyway, talk to me about some surprises that have surprised you or stood out to you halfway through the year so far.
Yeah, I've got two, and the first one are the Steelers, and sitting at 6-2 right now. With all I didn't think they had a great team going into the year to start with, They're 6-2. They've been playing, the field situation with Wilson now. They're a big shock to me. The thing I looked at though is the rest of their schedule, and they could go 3-6 the rest of the way out if they're lucky. So they may not even be a 500 team at the end of the season, which is pretty bold. But
yeah, that is bold considering where they're at right now.
Right. and the other team is the Arizona Cardinals, and they're sitting at 5-4 atop. We both agreed that the NFC West was a weak division, but we expected San Fran to run away with it. And not that Arizona's running away with anything, but, the fact that after 9 games, they're on top of the division, it's saying a lot for them, especially considering the fact that they're the only team in the league with a winning record that has scored less points than they've given up.
I have 2 as well here. My first one would be the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, I expected a lot more out of the Bengals. You had mentioned the Steelers coming out of the North. I expected the Bengals to be up top of contention. With their offensive prowess, I thought that Joe Burrow's doing, he's having a nice little year, putting together a nice campaign for himself. But, you talk about an offense that's as loaded as the Bengals was, you would think that they would be doing better. So they're kind of a shocker to me. And the other one is the Cowboys. Listen, I know the Cowboys are dealing with a lot of injuries right now, but that's recent. They had the CeeDee Lamb saga going into the season. Dak's hurt now. They don't have a running attack. But the thing that shocks me is the fact that Mike McCarthy is still the coach there, and he hasn't been moved on yet. And it doesn't sound like that Jerry's in any rush to do it.
Pictures.
And they need to blow that organization up completely.
He's got pictures on Jerry.
Why is Brady in hot water, Larry? I'll put me in the comments. I didn't hear nothing about it.
Yeah, for being a part owner and talking about the officials.
Oh, yeah, I saw that stuff. I didn't think it was true about that. He shouldn't be commenting games as an owner. But yeah, we'll talk about that, I guess.
See, I don't agree with you with the Cowboys at all. I mean, I thought the Cowboys were going to have a terrible year. Cincinnati, yeah, we both had them to win the division, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they're definitely playing below. But Cincinnati really doesn't have much of a defense, man. And Higgins has been hurt a lot. And
yeah, Higgins being out doesn't help.
No, it hurts
by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so Larry says he can't talk about the refs, but he can talk about the games.
Right. So. Yeah, and he said something about Branch getting thrown out for that hit on Melton in the Green Bay game last week, and
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean he did. It was a target in college. It was a definite target, but the refs didn't call it. They threw a penalty on it, but then it came down from New York that he was, it was blatant and he was thrown out of the game. What the hell do we even have refs on the field for?
Yeah, right. If we're just calling a game from New York anyway, what's the difference? Oh, man. Anyway, some big news out of college football. The first NCAA playoff bracket was released quietly last night amidst a lot of other happenings in the world. But did you get a chance to take a look at it? Did you see it or no?
I did not. I didn't know. I mean, I was bouncing from Fox to CNN, MSNBC all night. I didn't know anything.
Why were you watching CNN? You just wanted to see the tears?
I like hearing all. Yeah, I get all the opinions.
I just thought it was funny how Fox called it about
2 o'clock.
14 hours before anybody else called it.
Well, 5:27 this morning, CNN finally called it. Yeah. But yet from midnight on, all they were talking about was the other races. They didn't really.
That's funny. Anyway, so the first college football playoff bracket came out, the inaugural year of 12 teams, which I think will be a heck of a lot more exciting than 4 teams. First 4 teams get a bye. The first 4 in so far right now, you got Oregon at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Miami at number 3, and BYU at number 4. Okay. Now you got Ohio State at 5, Texas at 6, Penn State at 7, Tennessee Volunteers at 8, the Indiana Hoosiers at 9, Notre Dame at 10, Alabama at 11, and yes, Larry, Boise State coming in at number 12. So a couple first-round projection matchups. If the season were to end today, you would have Indiana taking on Tennessee, which I think that would be a really fun game to watch. Boise State taking on Ohio State. Tough one. Notre Dame taking on Penn State, and then Alabama playing Texas, man. And that's a primetime matchup right there. I think a couple teams got an easier path here. I think Boise or BYU might be slightly overrated. So the winner of the Boise State-Ohio State game might have a good shot at getting in there. And then Miami, I just don't know how good Miami actually is. So the winner of the Alabama-Texas game would get to face Miami, and again, they got a nice little chance of getting themselves in there as well. So, what do you think about those brackets there?
Well, I mean, I think it's a fun thing to do, segment wise and all, but I really don't think anything is going to stay the same.
No,
the two matchups that I look at there and would like to see is the Ohio State Boise game and the Miami Georgia game. But
there is no Miami Georgia game. It would be Georgia plays the winner of Notre Dame, Penn State, and then Miami
and Georgia 2 and 3, right?
No, they get those are buys.
The
winners of those
they all get buys. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, really, in the first round, then the only one that would of any interest to me is the Boise game. Both of them teams right now have one loss, and both of them just so happen to have lost to Oregon at Oregon. Ohio State by a point, Boise by 3 points. Now, Boise should run the table. But Ohio State's got a tough, they got a tough road ahead of them.
Yeah, they always, end of the year, the Big Ten's always going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, they get Indiana in 2 weeks. Indiana's going to be coming off a bye, and it's the game before Michigan, which Michigan isn't what they've been the past years, but it's still a huge game. Yeah,
sure.
They may get knocked off by Indiana in 2 weeks.
No, I know I know that I agree with what you said that these matchups are going to change, but just looking at it from this perspective of this is really cool to see. It's giving you a lot of different matchups with the 12 teams, and there can't be any complaints anymore about not getting in or being being on the outside looking in with the top with it only being 4 teams or whatever. So
yeah, for sure.
This gives it a little bit more credibility and. It's going to be a lot of fun here at the end of the season. So I'm really looking forward to the 12-team format here.
I am a little, baffled with BYU also though at 4. I mean, I think they're really overrating them there. Yeah, BYU's got a nice program, but they're still a small-time school in the big scheme of things.
I agree. But, we're moving forward here. We're going to our
weeks.
Yep. Only a few more.
You know what, Sling? Before we move on, are these games bowl games, or are they going to be like? Is there neutral site games, or are they going to have home and away, or like how does this work?
I think they're bowl games, if I'm not mistaken. So
the first round also.
I'm not sure about the first round, but I know that the second round definitely is. Let me see. NCAA. I know the second round definitely is. Let me see. Looking it up here. I don't know. I can't. Of course, I can't find the one. I found a bracket that had all the games on it. What games they were, but I don't. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so the playoffs, the first round, they'll be on the December 20th and the 21st. Those are not bowl games. Okay, and then when you go into the quarterfinals, you got the 2 games on New Year's Eve and 2 games on New Year's Day. Those are bowl games, so that'll be the Fiesta Bowl, the Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowl, and Rose Bowl. And then the semifinals will be the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, and then that'll lead to the national title game, which is on Monday night, January 20th, which is very late. A lot later this year than it ever has been, because usually it's on that 9th there. So
yeah, it's the Monday after New Year's, not the first Monday, but
right,
the following. Yeah,
right, yep. But that'll be fun to watch. So we're moving on though. We're moving on to our advanced sports weekly pick'em recap. A lot of movement. I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot to get my friggin' picks in this week, and I'm really upset about it. So that probably ends my run here at the yearly leaderboard. I'm still going to be taking my shots at the weekly, goals or the weekly prizes. Again, if you go undefeated and you finish in first place week to week, you will receive a $25 gift card courtesy of the Prophet himself. This week we had 3 players go 14-1.
Thank you, Carolina.
Yeah, we had DF 13-11, Farm Ball, and Talon. Farm Ball has been having himself a nice run here, as well as Talon, and DF has climbed his way into in the leaderboard here. So we had 3 teams finish 14-1 this week. All right, we were close. We were close to having a $25 gift card given away. Johnny H comes in with a great 13-2 week for him. Johnny H hanging in the weekly leader or the yearly leaderboard. Mighty Pound Cake still in there at 12-3. Radomir at 12-3. Big Will at 11-4. Rich at 11-4. Lana at 11-4, and Peebler rounding out the top 10 with a 10-5 week this week. For our year-to-date leaderboard, we got Farm Ball and Talon tied for first. Okay, halfway through the season, we've got Farm Ball and Talon tied for first with 95 points apiece. Right on their tail, we got the Mighty Pound Cake with 94 points. We got DF right behind them at 93, Radomir with 93, Big Will with 92, Johnny H with 92, Peebler with 91, Lana with 89, and then there's a bit of a drop off. It goes to the Mrs. Peebs at 83, followed by Rich. So again, the battle is tough. The battle is tough. We're halfway through the season. Anything could happen. Somebody could miss a week like I just did this week. So the leaderboard is stacked. It's tight race, and I imagine it's going to be tight until the very end. Again, winner of the leaderboard at the end of the year, you get a $100 gift certificate or a gift card sent by us, and you get a $300 service package hosted or courtesy of Advanced Sports, our sponsors for the weekly pick'em pool. Exciting stuff here, Prophet. It's a tight race, man, and people are enjoying it, so they're having fun with it.
Yeah, I wish I had paid the 25 this week, because in my confidence pool, my only loss was New Orleans this week, and I had them up at number 13. So I ended up losing to somebody who had 3 losses. But yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. So I would have won there and lost there. It's all good.
We're moving on here to the weekly roundup segment. We're going to talk about the week that was in week 9 of NFL action, the fastest 16 minutes here in and podcast. Our first game that we're going to talk about today is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Downs Miami 30-27 on a last second field goal here. Josh Allen 25-39 on a day, 235, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Cook checking in with 10 rushing attempts for 44 yards. Tua coming in with a nice efficient day, 25-28 for 231 and 2 touchdowns. Achin 12 for 63 and a touchdown, and Raheem Mostert checking in 10 for 56. Tyreek Hill had himself a nice little day, 4 for 80. Achin also had a nice day receiving, 8 for 58 and a touchdown there. Prophet, this game, probably shouldn't have been as close as it was, but I guess with Tua back, who knows? Maybe the Dolphins are trying to climb a little comeback into this thing. Bills definitely didn't cover. I think the line was 6 on this game. What'd you take away from this one?
Yeah, this was a slow start. I think there was only like 16 points at halftime, if I'm not mistaken, and both offenses came alive in the second half and made for a real fun second half. Anyhow, Buffalo's going to win the AFC East. I mean, they're 4 games up on the Jets, I believe, and they got a game in hand on the Jets, so they're 5 games up now. It's where are they going to finish in the conference, and they got KC not too long from now, so it should be fun to follow.
We are moving on here. Detroit taking command of the NFC North by beating on those Packers this past weekend. Detroit beating the Packers at a tune of 24-14. Dan Campbell, I'll tell you right now, Dan Campbell could run for president of the United States and might get lucky with a W here, the way he's got his popularity going. Jared Goff comes in 18-22 for $145 and 1 touchdown. Nothing to really write home about there, huh? David Montgomery 17 for 73, no touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs 11 for 65 and a touchdown. Again, you never know which guy is going to go off week to week in the Lions offense there. Jordan Love comes in 23-39, 271 and an interception. No touchdowns for Jordan Love. Jacobs 13-95. Who's that? Jordan Reed. Nice day. 5 for 113. Jaden Reed 5 for 13. Or 5 catches for 113 yards, but no touchdowns. Amon-Ra checking in with a touchdown and 56 yards receiving. Never really a question, I guess, in this game until it got within 10 at the end. Detroit kind of dominated this one from start to finish. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's for real, okay? I'll be the first to admit that I was not sold on them at the beginning of the year. And watching them play now, they are the real deal. They are the team to beat in the NFC. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That being said, Jordan Love should not have been in that game. He was hurt. He had a pulled groin from the week before. And his mobility, I mean, number-wise, he did okay. But his mobility was terrible Sunday. I understand he wanted to play big game, but you risk your season. He's already been hurt twice this year. He should have used his head and stayed out. They would have had the same results with Malik Willis.
Kind of a bold statement there, but we'll move on. Kansas City barely squeaks by those Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime. 30-24. Kansas City moves to 8-0 on the season. Buccaneers, Baker, 23-31 for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Counterpart Patty Mahomes, 34-44 for 291, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Kareem Hunt going off, having himself a nice little day, 27 rushes for 106 yards and a touchdown. No real rushing attack for the Buccaneers to speak of. And Travis Kelce checking in with 14 catches on 16 targets for 100 yards. So finally Kelsey kind of jumping off the stat sheet a little bit there. DeAndre Hopkins 8 for 86 and 2 touchdowns. Listen, this game was 10-7 for the Chiefs at halftime. The Buccaneers jump out in the third quarter, go up 17-10. Okay, and then the Chiefs kind of run away with it at the end, tie it up, and then win it in overtime. And this game was a 9-point favorite or a 9-point underdog. These Buccaneers, you were giving them no love, and they just go out, and I think they play to prove you wrong every week, and they do a good job of it. What'd you take from this one? Are you giving the Buccaneers any kind of credit for playing tough, or is this just another team on the radar?
Come on, man. I mean, I picked up Baker Mayfield in our fantasy league. Am I giving them any credit?
No, you finally listened to me then.
Of course. I cut love. So, but they don't have the weapons right now. Baker cannot do it himself, and that's what I said earlier in this with the trade segment. They should have went out and got him a receiver. Plain and simple. Cade Otton is their number one guy right now. And, yeah, okay, Kelsey had 14 receptions as a tight end. Cade Otton is not Kelsey. Cade Otton's a nice tight end. But you can't win with no running game, and Cade Otton is your number one receiver. And I think it's great that Kansas City loves to win overtime games with touchdowns. I absolutely love that. They don't leave it for Andy Reid. Doesn't leave it for Bucker. Yeah, he goes for the jugular in overtime. And when the line's less than 6, it's a beautiful thing.
When it's 9, you got to be happier.
Well, you're going to lose one way or the other when it's 9, right?
Right. Well, you're going to lose or you're going to win, depending on on who you got going. But we're moving on here to Cowboys. All right, we're talking about the Cowboys and the Falcons. Atlanta edges out Dallas 27-21. But the bigger story out of this game was the injuries suffered by the Cowboys. Dak Prescott goes 18-24 for 133 and a touchdown before leaving the game. Cooper Rush comes in and goes 13-25 for 115 and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins 19-24 for 222 and 3 touchdowns. Dowdle is that Dowdle or Dowdy? Dowdle for the Cowboys. 12 rushes for 75 yards. Bijan Robinson goes 19 for 86. Algier the one getting into the end zone, though. Big story out of this one is Dak leaves the game with a hamstring injury, supposedly more serious than we originally thought, and he winds up landing himself on IR. If he's not yet, he will be. I think he is, though, right? They put him on IR?
No, not yet. They haven't.
They haven't. They said he could wind up on IR with this injury, which would put him out for at least 4 games. CeeDee Lamb's a little banged up. This team's in trouble, man. This Dallas team is bad. And, at this point, you're halfway through the season. You're sitting here at, 3-6 now or 3-5? You got Cooper Rush coming in to be your starting quarterback. I just don't see how they got any kind of hopes of winning many football games with Cooper Rush. I've never been sold on the guy, and I'm still not sold on the guy. What'd you take out of this one?
Well, for starters, okay, this game, 27-21 final, this game was never in jeopardy for Atlanta, okay? I mean, they dominated this game. Dallas scored late, to make the score close, but when Dak was hurt a couple of years ago, and Cooper had to start 4 games, I think it was. They had a running game. Cooper did well. He was able to be efficient, throw the ball 15, 18 times. They have no running game. Cooper Rush is going to have to throw the ball 25, 30 plus a game for them to have any shot at winning moving forward. Dak's going to be out at least 3 weeks. and in all likelihood 4 or more. Yeah, getting Jonathan Wingo or Mingo, whatever the heck his name is, that's great when Dak comes back. But at that point in time, they're probably going to be 3-9, 3-10. I
Might as
shouldn't
well
say
just
that.
stay out.
Yeah.
Stay out the rest of the season. Dak called on camera this week saying we effing suck, and I think a lot of people share that sentiment with you, Dak. You definitely do.
Well, Jerry Jones has got to go. I mean,
he's never going to go.
I know he isn't, but I mean, he's running that franchise into the ground. It's sad. We have a few Texas, Cowboy fans, to watch the show and all, and talking with them. I mean, they're so frustrated. It's
I'm
amazing.
sure I would be too if I'm a Cowboys fan. You know how well they travel, and there's Cowboys fans all over the world. And they all say the same thing. Jerry's got to go, but he's not going to because he's going to die on that hill. Just like He reminds me of like Vince McMahon, honestly. So,
yeah, similar for sure.
Where are we at here? Last game of the weekly roundup segment brings us to the Baltimore Ravens, and they humble the Denver Broncos and bring them back down to earth. Baltimore Ravens winning this one by a score of 41-10. Lamar Jackson again having a nice day through the air. 16-19 for 280 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, very efficient there. Bo Nix 19-33 for 223, no touchdowns and an interception. Javonte Williams 12 for 42. Derrick Henry keeps getting it done on the ground. Week in and week out for this guy, 23 carries for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns for Derrick Henry. And Zay Flowers has a huge day through the air. 5 receptions for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. Proffet, another day, another productive day here for Lamar.
Yeah.
Ravens getting hot here at the right time, and as you mentioned, they kind of bring the Broncos back down to earth a little bit, who might have been smelling themselves a little bit. What'd you get from this one?
Yeah, I mean, this game went exactly as I said it would last week. The only thing I was wrong with this game was that I picked Baltimore to win 45-10, and they only won 41-10. Bo Nix, I said, the weakness of their defense is their pass defense, and Bo Nix was not going to be able to exploit that. Lamar, Denver hadn't really played an offense like Baltimore. Lamar went off. And he did all this without Deontay Johnson on the field also, man. Zay had a great game. Deontay's going to be out there this week.
How'd they get it done without Deontay?
Well, they did.
That's what I was saying last week, you know. I don't think Deontay's a huge difference maker. But, hey, that'll wrap it up for our weekly roundup segment. As always, one of the best segments on the show, if not the best segment. We recap the week that was, and we talk about the previous games and everybody's highlights and sometimes lowlights. We're moving on, though. We're going to our game of the week segment. Okay, we got
there's Larry being facetious again.
We got a nice little slate this week. We got some nice games coming up. We're going to start. We just left off with the Ravens. We're going to start with we'll start with them too. We got a big AFC North matchup here between the Ravens and the Bengals. We talked about the Bengals as being my disappointment so far, surprise disappointment on the year. Bengals coming into this one with a 4-5 record. Ravens coming into this one with 6-3 record, and they're hot, man. Over under set at 53 on this one. Baltimore 6-point favorites. Cincinnati going into Baltimore. Ravens are playing hot. Bengals are not doing so great. I'm taking the Ravens in this one, and I'm taking the Ravens to cover. I think they're actually going to have another big week. I think they beat the Bengals here by double digits. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati needs Higgins back to have any shot at all, and I don't even think it's going to help. Baltimore's won the last 3 in this series, and I think they make it 4. That game's actually tomorrow night. So we got a good Thursday night game. I got
Yeah, nice one.
Baltimore. Yeah, I got Baltimore 27-14.
27-14 for the Ravens. So you got them covering as well.
Double digits, too.
Yep. Oh, I got to stand up. My butt hurts. Let's go to our next game here, and we'll talk about we talked about the Detroit Lions being ever so hot. Detroit Lions heading into Houston this weekend to take on the Houston Texans, who they're 1-2 in their last 3, and I really don't like the losses here. We got a loss at Green Bay 3 weeks ago, 24-22. You squeak by Indianapolis, and then you get spanked up by the Jets. Excuse me, God damn. You're coming off a bye week. You get spanked up by the Jets. I just haven't loved what I've seen out of Houston so far this year, with big expectations out of them. Detroit coming in 3.5-point favorites, over under set at 49. Like I said, Houston coming off the bye week here. Lions are a tough team. Lions are probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest team right now in the NFL. I got the Lions in this one. I would say by at least 6. Lions covering this one. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's rolling right now, and the Jets exposed a major weakness last week, with that offensive line. And now they got to go against Detroit's defensive line. It could be another long day for Stroud this week. He still has no receivers. He's only got Tank Dell out there to throw to. I mean, I shouldn't say that. He has decent receivers, but they're not, 1 and 2s. I mean, other than Tank Dell. So Stroud's going to be in for a long day again, I think. And I see Detroit winning this one 30-17.
30-17. That's a friggin' blowout there, huh? Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, with Nico Collins being out, there's not really a whole lot going on for Stroud to throw to. I haven't Stroud, for as good as he was last year, I'm just haven't been seeing it this year. We're going to move on to our next game. Our next game brings us to Pittsburgh, taking a visit to the Washington Commanders. We talked earlier about Pittsburgh being your surprise, one of your surprises of the year so far, with as well as they've been playing. But you also said that you see them finishing with a losing record. They're going into a Washington Commanders team that is 7-2. Okay, and Pittsburgh's coming in at 6-2. I don't think, I don't want to say nobody expected this from the Commanders, because we both said that they were going to be up there. But 7-2, maybe a little bit of overachieving going on. But listen, your last 3 games, you played the Giants, Chicago, and Carolina. Okay, so you got a nice little test here against Pittsburgh, and then you got the Eagles coming up after this. Over under at this game, 45.5. Washington's 3-point favorite. I got the Commanders in this one. I don't think they're going to cover, though. I see them winning by a point or 2. Who do you got in this one, Prophet?
Yeah, Washington hasn't faced a defense like Pittsburgh yet this year. And on the flip side of that coin, Pittsburgh hasn't faced an offense like Washington yet this year. Washington has yet to lose at home. They're home this week. I got Washington in a low-scoring game, 17-10.
Washington 17-10, so they cover.
Yeah, they cover.
You got Washington covering. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Next game kind of surprises me a little bit. It's the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and why I'm surprised is I think this line's a little high. Actually, I think this line is very high. San Francisco comes in at 5.5-point favorites. Tampa Bay over under set at 51 here. 49ers come in with a 4-4 record. Buccaneers come in with a 4-5 record. Listen, I know the Buccaneers have lost a lot of talent, but for however reason, or Excuse me, I gotta stop yawning, man. It was a long night last night. For however they're doing it, they're getting it done, and they're staying in these games. All right, they took the Chiefs to overtime this past week. 2 weeks ago, they played tough against Atlanta, and the week before that, you talk about a 10-point loss to a good Baltimore team. So I don't like this line at 5.5. I'm going to go Tampa Bay outright here. I got Tampa Bay winning this one. They're going to get back in the winning column, and they're getting closer to getting Mike Evans back. Once they do that, I think they get back truer to form. But yeah, I got the Buccaneers outright in this one.
Well, if you think the line's high in this game, yesterday when I picked the games of the week, okay, San Fran was 6.5-point favorites, and the over/under was 48. Today, when I went on, I had to change them because the line dropped to 5.5 and went up to 51. A lot of money's being played in this game, and obviously, with it dropping, the money's going on Tampa Bay. San Fran's dominated this series in recent years. They're 3-0 the last 3 times they played them. If all goes well the rest of the week, they're going to get McCaffrey back for this game. And I see San Fran going in there. Tampa Bay's luck runs out for them this week. San Fran goes in and beats them 28-21.
I have to agree to disagree there. I don't think that happens, but time will tell.
That's why there's chocolate and vanilla.
Excuse me. Typically, a big NFC East rivalry. I guess it still is. Let's not get that twisted. We got the jug handle in game of the week this week, giving us the Philadelphia Eagles taking a visit to the Dallas Cowboys. Jug handle in, located in Cinnamons in New Jersey. Delicious wings, cold beer, great food at the Jug. Always a friendly atmosphere. Make sure you stop in if you're ever in town. Take a visit to the Jug. Jug handle in game of the week has the Philadelphia Eagles visiting the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles come in at 7.5-point favorites. Over under set at 42 for this one. Eagles are soaring right now, no pun intended. Cowboys are down and out, in my opinion. This game is always tough, though. It's a big-time rivalry, a big NFC East rivalry. I don't see it being close. I see the Eagles going in and kind of reluctantly speaking, embarrassing the Cowboys. I got the Eagles in this one by a score of, let's say 30. Let's go weird because they always do weird stuff because Sirianni never plays by the rules. Let's say 33 to 16. Try and remember that one, 33 to 16.
Well, I got my first victory with the Eagles last week on the show. So I'm on a roll. Well, actually, I'm on rye bread, but after this week, I'm going to be on a roll. Okay. Obviously, the big thing here is no Dak in this game. Okay. Philadelphia, I mean, I don't think it would have mattered even if Dak was there, but, the fact that he isn't really takes away from this game. The Eagles are putting it all together at this point, and Dallas is just totally falling apart. I mean, I got Philadelphia winning this game 27-16, but a little caveat, the Eagles have not won in Dallas since 2017. So just be careful, people.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a rivalry game. It's always going to be tough, but I just don't think that the Cowboys have got the manpower to get it done this time around. That'll wrap it up. That's our jug handling game of the week. Jug handling got wings. Again, make sure you visit them if you're in town. You're looking for a bite to eat, looking for a cold beverage. Always pop into the jug handle in there. We're moving on here. Prophet, take us to your fantasy headquarters. Tell us about how you did last week. What did it look like last week?
Yeah, last week was so week. We were 5-2 on the picks. I had one I had one that I didn't pick it, one position I didn't pick at all, and the Michael Pittman pick. I told you to keep an eye on his injury, and although he did play, they said he was going to be on a pitch count. So I'm taking that as don't play. So 5-2, which isn't bad, but it's not as good as I've been doing. But this week we're going all out. We're going to get them. Okay. Oh, also with the pickups, man, the pickups. I'm just letting everybody know that it's really getting thin now for guys. I might be eliminating this part of it because there's just not a whole lot of talent left out there that's under 75%. But here we go. Stardoms. You got Brock Purdy in your lineup. You get him on your roster. You get him in your lineup this week, okay? He hasn't been doing too well the past couple of weeks. And as a matter of fact, I think he's thrown one touchdown and ran three in his last two games. Going up against Tampa Bay's poorest pass defense, you got Purdy on your team. You get him in your lineup. At running back, we got Najee Harris. Okay, going to be a low-scoring game in Washington. Going to be running game. Washington's run defense is not that great. Okay, you got Najee Harris on your team. You get him in your lineup. And I touched on this guy a little bit earlier in the games of the week. Tank Dell. Detroit gives up points. CJ's got to throw the ball to somebody. Tank's the only one there. Okay, you got Tank Dell on your team. You get him in your lineup this week. Yeah. As far as the sits go, Kyler Murray against the Jets. We all saw what he did, what the Jets did to Stroud last week, and I see more of it coming this week. Bigsby Etienne combination going up against Minnesota's run defense. Sit them, either one. One of them may score this week. Both of them ain't going to, and they're not going to do well. And at wide receiver, McConkey going up against Tennessee's. Tennessee has a mean. I watched a couple of their games.
I had them.
They've got a mean ass defense.
I had them in my other fantasy league. They got me like 16 points last week.
Yeah, I mean they fly all over the field, man, and they hit. They're fun to watch defensively. Unfortunately, not so much offensively. But okay, the pickups for this week, we got coming in at 33%. Trevor Lawrence going up against Minnesota. You need a quarterback. You got bye week injuries. Feel confident picking Trevor Lawrence up, going up against Minnesota. Minnesota's pass defense is very suspect. Trevor should be primed for a good game. Running back, coming in at 73% rostered. Tyrone Tracy going up against the absolute worst run defense in the league in the Carolina Panthers. And this game's going to be over in Germany also Sunday morning. He's going to want to go over and show the German crowd, how good of a running back he is. And coming in at 74% wide receiver, take Jordan Addison versus Jacksonville. I see this as a high-scoring game. We know Jefferson's going to get his touches. Yeah, Addison, the 2 and 3 receiver the past couple of weeks have been doing well for Minnesota. Jordan Addison, you need a receiver. Yeah, he may not be available in your leagues, but if he is, pick him up and you'll be fine. And that's it for the Prophet Fantasy Headquarter. Now,
Go
ahead.
No, I was just going to say always appreciate a visit to the headquarters. Let's talk about your emails.
Yeah, now, okay, I got a question here, an email, okay, for the Ask the Prophet segment. And this question...
Self-imposed Ask the Prophet segment. When did that happen?
Well, I mean, we added it to the show, but whatever. Okay. All right. This question comes from Joe B. in Delaware, and he asks, "Hey, Prophet, if a youngster came trick-or-treating at your house dressed like a chicken, would you nibble? Nah, he didn't really ask that. I asked that. He asked, what is your old, and this is a great question, man. I had to do a little bit of thinking. He asked, what is your all-time favorite NFL game that you watched? And there have been a lot of great games, man, but I went back and checked the exact date of it, and it was 1982, the San Diego Chargers versus Miami Dolphins in the playoff game. Overtime game ended up 41-38. It was a great game. If you can watch it online, pick it up, watch it, enjoy it. Thanks for the question, Joe B.
1982, San Diego Chargers versus Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Dan Fouts and David Woodley / Don Strock. It was a phenomenal game.
I like to go back and watch some of those old films and see how much different the game is today from what it was back then. My guess is pretty different. Anyway, we're moving forward here to our plays of the week. All right. I've been hot, not so much this weekend. And Prophet, I'll admit, I don't know what you did here because I'm looking at the slides on the back end. I don't know what you touched and didn't touch, so I left it all alone. So when I go to you, you could talk through your plays because I don't know where we're at with it. But we'll talk about mine first. I lost. That's why I don't like playing the big games. I don't like Georgia. I don't like playing the big time NFL or big time college games against the big time teams. They're too hard to play. I like sticking to my little guys, my MAC, my Mountain West, stuff like that. Anyway, I lost the Georgia game. Florida covered that one. I lost my 3-team touchdown parlay with James Cook, Jamar Chase, and CeeDee Lamb. Lamb didn't get in, and I don't know if anybody else did either. But, yeah, still sitting with 22-54 after last week. Prophet, how did you wind up with your picks?
All right. Well, I'm looking and I see that you don't have, for the recap, okay? Yeah, the recap last week here. I went 3-0. I had the over in the Washington Giants game. I had the over Buffalo Miami game, and I had Baltimore minus the 9.5. 3-0 for the week, and that total brought me up to 22-13 going into this weekend.
Okay, yeah, I see that. So 22-13, got you. So we're moving on to our plays of the week. That was the recap. My plays of the week, you got a San Diego State. I think it's Friday night, late game Friday night, 10:30. San Diego State -3 over University of New Mexico. I got 160 to win 302 back. I really like. I don't want to say really like because both of these teams are 3-4. I just think San Diego State is a better team. They're at home. I got San Diego State in this one. As always, with my anytime touchdown parlay, I got Jamar Chase. As always, he's got to be in there. He's going to score more times than he's not. Bijan Robinson and Justin Jefferson. That parlay with 3 mega touchdown scorers right there, 100 to win 575. So my balance after last week was 22.54. I'm spending 260 this week. That brings my total down to 19.94 for the total. Prophet, talk about your plays here.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I got 3 plays this week, and I am not high on any of them at this point. These plays aren't going to change. You know, I may find a game, 2 games later in the week, so be sure to email me, and I will give you the plays. But right now, I just haven't seen a whole lot that I'm crazy about. Yeah, I won't include the Sling'n in this because he doesn't seem to care. But yeah, after 9 weeks, guys, I'm up almost 50% from where we started. which is a pretty good return for 9 weeks. You ain't getting 50% in 9 weeks at any bank. You might get it on the stock market today, but that's about it. The last 3 weeks I've been on fire, 9-3, 75%, and plus 860 on the money there. Okay, this week my top play, I'm taking Buffalo team over 24.5. I'm laying 115 to bring back 215. Buffalo, looking at it, normally the team playing, you would think the following week against Kansas City is a big rivalry game that they would be due for a letdown. But the last 3 years, the game before Kansas City in the regular season, they've scored 34, 38, and 40 points. Going against Indianapolis this week, I can't see them not scoring 31 at least. So take the over on Buffalo, 24.5. My next play is a 420 play. The 420 system is, so far this year, is 5-1. The only loss was Atlanta and Tampa Bay under last week. We got another under here with Atlanta going against New Orleans. Because they lost, that's the only reason that I'm staying low with this. I'm laying 55 to bring back 105. And my last play is Chicago -6 against New England. I'm laying 55 to bring back 105 in this one also. Chicago hasn't lost at home this year. And I really don't think, even though Drake May's been playing okay lately, I don't think New England is the team that's going to give them their first loss. And that's it for this week.
I think that's a bold prediction there with the Bears, the way they've been playing. But hey, we'll see how it goes. You said you've been on a roll, so we need to ride it, right? You're reminding me of a prisoner or something right now with your orange jumpsuit. Maybe that old wrestler Nails or something like that. That might have been.
No,
that might have been it.
I'm Duke the Dumpster Drozy.
Oh, okay, yeah, Duke the Dumpster Drozy. You're out there picking up the trash.
I'm a piece of garbage.
a lot of garbage on this show, but a lot of fans are garbage, and I'm happy to be called them because, well, let's keep it down the middle here, but we all know where we're going with it, and that'll wrap up another episode of the Sling'n Proffet podcast. We're halfway through the season. We're getting into the witching hour, as they like to say, on the NFL Red Zone Network, where wins become losses and losses become wins.
Hello, Mrs. Peeb. Thanks for joining.
Always appreciate you guys, and thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you guys next week here on the Sling'n Proffet. Back to 8 o'clock next week.